The galaxy was no stranger to chaos, and on this day, it seemed to converge on one fateful spot. Deep in the lawless sector of space, known as the Rift, Lobo lounged on his interstellar motorcycle, the Space Hog, while downing the last drops of a bottle of Czarnian ale. The main man had just finished a bounty job, a grueling fight with a warlord that had ended with Lobo tossing the poor fool into a black hole. Now, he was hunting something bigger, something he couldn't pass up. A creature whose strength was rumored to be limitless. And where else would Lobo find such a target but on Earth, the planet infamous for its parade of freaks and supers? Meanwhile, on Earth, Bruce Banner was on the run yet again. The Hulk had been sighted destroying a military base in Nevada after yet another attempt to cure him had gone horribly wrong. Soldiers scrambled. Satellites tracked his movements, and civilians fled as the Green Goliath made his way across the country, smashing anything in his path. Though Bruce tried to keep the beast contained, the Hulk was growing angrier. The gamma-powered rage within him churned, spurred on by the endless pursuit. All Bruce wanted was peace, but the world refused to let him rest. Lobo's scanner beeped, locking onto Hulk's location. Green guy, huh? Big, mean, and smashing stuff. Sounds like my kind of fun. Lobo muttered with a grin as he revved up his bike. Let's see if this Hulk fella can hang with the main man. He punched the coordinates into his bike and shot through the atmosphere like a flaming comet, the Space Hog roaring with thunderous fury as it approached Earth. On the outskirts of a small desert town, the Hulk was busy tearing through a convoy of military tanks. His massive hands swatted vehicles aside like toys, his roar echoing across the air and landscape. Soldiers fired their weapons in desperation, but nothing could penetrate his emerald hide. Just as the last tank exploded in a fiery blaze, a new sound cut through the chaos, a deafening roar, but not from the Hulk. It was the Space Hog, descending from the heavens like a demon's chariot. Lobo landed in a cloud of dust and smoke, stepping off his bike with his trademark hook and chain slung over one shoulder. He took one look at the destruction Hulk had caused and gave an approving nod. Now this is my kind of party. The Hulk turned, his glowing green eyes locking onto the Czarnian. Leave! Hulk! Alone, he growled, his voice dripping with menace. Leave you alone? Nah, pal. I'm here for the fun. Heard you're the strongest thing around, and I'm the main man. That makes this a match made in fraggin' heaven. Lobo cracked his knuckles, a wide grin spreading across his face. Let's see what you've got, big guy. Hulk didn't wait for a second invitation. With a ground-shaking leap, he lunged at Lobo, fists raised. But Lobo was quicker than he looked. With reflexes honed from countless battles, he sidestepped the incoming strike and swung his hook, catching Hulk in the side. The impact sent Hulk skidding across the desert floor, but it didn't hurt him. If anything, it only made him angrier. Hulk rose, towering over Lobo. Hulk smash, he bellowed, charging again. This time, Lobo didn't dodge. He met the Hulk head-on, the two colliding in an explosion of raw power that sent shockwaves rippling through the desert. The ground cracked beneath their feet, and the air itself seemed to tremble under the force of their blows. As the fight raged on, it became clear that neither combatant would go down easily. Hulk's rage fueled his strength, allowing him to overpower Lobo in sheer physical might. But Lobo's cunning and combat skills made him a dangerous adversary. He fought dirty, using his chain to trip Hulk, firing his plasma pistol point blank, and even biting the Green Goliath when the opportunity arose. The desert town quickly became a wasteland, reduced to rubble by the fury of their battle. Buildings crumbled, roads split apart, and the once quiet landscape was now a battlefield of titanic proportions. Civilians who had dared to stay behind fled in terror, watching from a distance as the two powerhouses clashed. Lobo wiped blood from his lip, grinning like a madman. You're tough, I'll give you that. But you ain't talking me down, you green-skinned loser. Hulk, stronger than anyone. Hulk roared, slamming his fist on the ground. and creating a massive shockwave that sent Lobo flying. But the Czarnian was nothing if not resilient. He landed on his feet, brushing off the dirt like it was nothing. The battle was far from over, and both fighters knew it. Lobo was ready to go all out, while Hulk's rage continued to build. In that moment, the desert seemed too small to contain their conflict. The universe itself felt the tremors of their clash, as two of the strongest beings in existence prepared to push each other to the brink. The battle between Lobo and the Hulk was a collision of raw power and unrelenting will. The earth cracked and trembled beneath them, their blows resonating like thunderclaps across the vast desert. Dust filled the air, mingling with the heat of their destructive force. Hulk, the embodiment of rage, became stronger with every passing moment, his strength a growing storm. But Lobo, the self-proclaimed main man, thrived on chaos, and this was exactly the kind of fight he loved. The Hulk's fists thundered down like meteors, each strike smashing craters into the ground as Lobo darted and danced around him, deflecting blows with his chain and landing vicious counterattacks. Despite Lobo's reckless grin, the Czarnian was calculating every move. He knew better than to go toe-to-toe with Hulk's brute strength for too long. He'd fought heavy hitters before, Superman, Darkseid, even the occasional cosmic entity, and he understood that brains and dirty tricks won battles where strength alone couldn't. "Come on, big guy. Is this all you got?" Lobo taunted, his voice thick with mockery. He spat out blood, grinning as if the punishment fueled him. The Hulk roared in response, lunging forward in frenzy. Hulk's massive fist slammed into the ground where Lobo had been a split second earlier, sending up a cloud of debris. Before Hulk could recover, Lobo hurled his chain, its hooked end wrapping tightly around Hulk's arm. With a tremendous yank, Lobo pulled himself forward and drove a devastating punch straight into Hulk's jaw. The force of the blow echoed through the canyon, but Hulk barely flinched, his rage only intensifying. "Hulk, strong as there is," Hulk bellowed, tearing the chain from Lobo's grasp like it was made of paper. He grabbed Lobo by the torso, lifting the Czarnian high above his head. With a guttural roar, Hulk slammed him into the ground with enough force to send shockwaves rippling outward, flattening the surrounding terrain. For a moment, it seemed like Lobo was done. His body lay motionless in a crater of his own making, the dust settling around him. But then, with a laugh that sent chills down the spine, Lobo stirred. His regeneration kicked in, healing cracked bones and torn muscles in seconds. "Nice try, Greenie," Lobo said, rising to his feet as though nothing had happened. "But I've taken worse hits from drunk Czarnian babes." Hulk roared in frustration and charged down. But Lobo had had enough of playing defense. As the Hulk leaped forward, fists raised, Lobo reached into his arsenal and pulled out a small cylindrical device. With the flick of a switch, it began to hum ominously. "Time for a little Czarnian tech, you overgrown lawn ornament," Lobo sneered, tossing the device at Hulk. The gadget detonated in midair, releasing a concentrated pulse of energy that engulfed the Hulk. It wasn't meant to kill, not that it could, but to disorient. For the first time in their battle, Hulk staggered, his vision blurring and his equilibrium faltering. Lobo seized the moment. He lunged forward with his hook, embedding it deep into Hulk's shoulder. Using the chain for leverage, Lobo swung himself around and landed on Hulk's back. "Let's see how you like this," he growled, pulling out a plasma pistol. At point-blank range, he fired shot after shot into Hulk's head, the searing plasma staggering the green Goliath. Hulk roared in fury, reaching behind to grab Lobo, but the Czarnian was too quick. He leaped off Hulk's back, yanking the hook free in the process. With a wicked grin, he hurled the hook again, this time wrapping it around Hulk's neck. Using his immense strength, Lobo tightened the chain, pulling it taut like a leash. "Hulk will smash," Hulk growled, struggling to free himself, but the disorientation from the gadget and the relentless assault had taken its toll. "Not today, big guy," Lobo snarled, planting his boot against Hulk's chest and pulling with all his might. The chain crackled with energy, draining Hulk's strength momentarily as Lobo yanked him off balance. With one final brutal motion, Lobo swung Hulk around and slammed him into the ground, creating a massive crater. As the dust settled, Hulk lay there motionless, his rage finally subsiding. His body began to shrink, reverting to Bruce Banner as unconsciousness overtook him. Lobo stood over him, his grin wide and his chest heaving from exertion. "Well, that was fun," Lobo said, cracking his neck. He leaned down and hoisted the unconscious Banner onto his shoulder. "But a job's a job, and you're coming with me." The Czarnian walked back to his space hog, tossing Banner onto the back like a sack of potatoes. He climbed onto the bike, revving it up with a roar that echoed across the now-quiet desert. "Strongest there is? Not today, pal," Lobo muttered, lighting a cigar. With that, the main man took off, his bounty secured and his reputation as the galaxy's toughest SB intact. The Hulk would fight another day, but for now, the Czarnian mercenary had claimed victory in a battle that would be remembered across the stars.